that there is a proposal to stagger the elections. That is, the president and members of parliament of the National Assembly, rather, are elected on the same date. Then county assembly representative as well as governors are elected on a different date. As for Senate, we do not know what the position is. But would this help in the management of elections? Because last time in 2017, part of the challenge, especially for the August 7th election, we were told by the courts it was in the form of transmission of the presidential election results. Would staggering the elections help the IEBC manage elections better?
Well, as much as they bring in that proposal, they have to understand the country, Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
In this country, if you stagger, I think it becomes even more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we tried with the nullification,
mm-hmm.
and becomes a bit expensive for not just the country, but even for those who are supporting maybe the different presidents. I would say it is for us as a country
mm-hmm.
to appreciate also all the ills that we find ourselves when we get to elections. Do not just start at IEBC, they start at the ground. I've always said they start with political parties, where when you do your nominations wrongly,
mm-hmm.
definitely it moves on in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So until we get to a place where we will appreciate that, look, if I am the chair of IEBC, for example, and this is how we will manage
mm-hmm.
the elections, and you sit together with the whole teams,
mm-hmm.
and you tell them, if you do your nominations wrongly, do not come now this other side and
mm-hmm.
start complaining. So you have to manage it from the nomination level for IEBC to have, because what IEBC receives in the end, it is what the parties have done.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what you key in as the leaders now who will be campaigning
mm-hmm.
to become now the MPs, the senators, the MCAs.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it is not staggering the presidential election, but it is being honest, all of us, from the party
uh-huh.
to, and the moment you decide to become a bit political also,
mm-hmm.
then you'll find yourself in the same challenge.
Because the report is quoted here as saying that conducting 6 elections in one day resulted in fatigue among electoral officials. Some of the errors witnessed were as a result of the fatigue.
I don't agree with that. I think you can deal with that a little differently.
Mm-hmm.
As the speaker is saying, it's not about having all the elections on the same day that's bringing the problems we have with IEBC.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is integrity questions. And you could see that very well when it came to the issue of election petitions. You know, before the Supreme Court nullified the presidential election, mm-hmm. I think there was only 20 or 30 election petitions. And once the Supreme Court nullified the presidential election after 14 days, mm-hmm. they rose to hundreds. I think they ended up being 300 or 400 election petitions. Mm. That just tells you that the people who participated in the election were not satisfied with the results. Mm-hmm. So I think before we start looking at very expensive solutions, because mm-hmm. having an election on 2 days, on different days, means dispatching a whole bunch, thousands and thousands of people, logistical issues, mm-hmm. on 2 different days to go back all the way to the ward level, mm-hmm. to the polling station level, to conduct an election. It becomes extremely expensive. But
when you look at the cost of deploying all these officials to do that vis-a-vis the cost of an nullified election coming from clerical errors, what would you rather have?
I think fixing the clerical errors is where the issue is. Mm-hmm. Separating the days of the election could be a solution, but it's a very expensive solution that should be looked at a last result. Mm-hmm. Yeah? If you simply go to the way the votes are counted they counted properly? Is there favoritism? Is there full disclosure? Do the people who actually win the elections win the elections? I think those are some of the things we need to look at. Let's focus and really focus on the issues and wonder, why do you always have these election petitions? Mm-hmm. There must be something wrong that IEBC is doing mm-hmm. so that people can keep complaining. Why is it that in Kenya, we really never accept when we are beaten in elections? Mm-hmm. Yeah? Everybody says, my election was stolen, my election was stolen. And that's the story we hear year in, year out. And I gave the example the other day of a football match. When you see Gor Mahia and AFC playing, mm-hmm. Whoever is won nobody goes to the streets to say, I lost unfairly, because the referee is very clear. The public who are watching are very clear. If somebody has been scored, they concede the goal. But in our elections, every time votes are stolen. And we have to ask ourselves why. So it's time that we looked at the referee very keenly, that is the IEBC, and find out why is it that they cannot count votes properly, or what systems and processes are they that they have in process that lead to people being disgruntled all the time. And I really don't think this solution they're giving on having these elections on separate days is a viable solution at this time.